All right, good evening, everybody. Megan, would you please read the statement of presiding officer?
Of course. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting, specifically the time, date, and public call-in information, were included in the meeting that was electronically sent to the Echo Sentinel and Morris Daily Record and posted on the township website. The agenda and public handouts for this meeting can be viewed online at www.longhillnj.gov. A public comment period will be held in the order it is listed on the meeting agenda.
I'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Megan, will you please take the roll?
Committeeman Dorsey?
Here.
Committeeman Ray?
Present.
Committeeman Verleza?
Present.
Deputy Mayor Pasurcia?
Present.
Mayor Lavender?
Present. Okay, first off, I'd like to ask Lisa Scanlon to come forward, and we're going to talk recreation and the winter photography contest that we recently had.
Good evening. Thanks for letting me kick off your meeting tonight here with this. We recently ran another photography contest, and we got quite a few entries. In the back lobby of the building, there's actually a display of all the entries that came in. As a rec committee, we met recently and chose 3 winners. So the picture that's showing right now is a picture from the Great Swamp on a foggy, cold morning that Robert Stapperfanny took. And unfortunately, he's not here tonight to accept his award, but he'll be getting an award from us. And then this picture is taken by one of our local New York City commuters from town, and her name is Dolly Mehta. And this is like a unicorn picture because it was from this year with snow, and and there's a unicorn in the background, I'm sure. But it was just a very interesting perspective looking down the tracks. Also, she could not make it because her train's not back yet, so she'll be getting her award. But we do have one of our award winners here, which is of this mockingbird. Taken on a frozen ice branch. And Ed Zindel, who lives in Myersville, is with us tonight. He took this photo and took several others, and it was very interesting. Both of us have lived here many, many years, and I'd never realized him and his photography before, and this contest connected us. And one thing spiraled into another, and this Friday night we will be hosting a photography exhibition up at the Old Millington Schoolhouse. Everyone's welcome to come. It's a free event. We have 3 of our Long Hill resident photographers that will be displaying photographs primarily focused on wildlife in the area. And along with Ed Zindel, Olga Argonova and Marta Sovis will also be joining him. So, in fact, we're going up there right after this to start the installation of the photographs and get the building ready for Friday night. And then we'll post some additional times when the building will be open. And I would like to encourage the public to come out and see this building too, because it's the original one-room schoolhouse in town, and it's a beautiful building that a lot of people worked very hard to restore, and I think it truly lends itself to an event like this. So I hope you'll join us Friday night, 7 to 9, and then also on the website we'll have additional hours posted. But for right now, I want to invite one of those photographers up here to accept his award. They all got pretty lucite frames engraved with their winning photograph in it. So Ed, come on up. And Ed will be there Friday night, too.
Signing photographs?
Thank you, Lisa.
For attendance?
Wow,
See?
wow, that's neat.
That was your winning entry.
Yeah, my
I
wife loves that
know.
picture
This
too.
is Mayor Lavender.
Great.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
I call those catbirds.
Yeah, that's close.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, next, we're going to have a budget presentation by Watchung Hills Regional High School. Timothy Stye, who is the business administrator, and Superintendent Elizabeth Jewett. Hi, welcome.
Thank you. I know that you all wait with bated breath every year for us to come and talk about our budget. We really appreciate you always giving us the time to come and speak to you. It is nice to see all of you every year. Actually, I saw Mr. Dorsey recently at our school musical, and we do have one of our Long Hill board members with us as well, Miss Carol Prasa. So thank you again. As usual, we just want to give you some highlights of our upcoming budget for the 23-24 school year. I do want to thank you all for your service, and I'm starting to probably sound a little bit like a broken record because this is my 10th year in the district, but I do want to make it a point every year to just express my appreciation to the communities that we serve. I am very privileged to lead Watchung Hills. We are in a wonderful learning community that is supported by the parents and the communities and the township committees. So we are very, very appreciative of that. And every time we've come to talk about a referendum, you have always been very supportive and listened with open ears. And the one that is underway right now that we passed successfully in September, we are in the process of the design work for that. So that's pretty exciting because that's going to be an update to our ceramics studio, our photography studio, our STEAM lab, our robotics area, along with some other projects included in there. So that project is underway. So our current enrollment has decreased a little bit in the past 10 years. From when I first started, we were between 22 and 2,300, and we're going to be just under 1,800 next year. And one of the things that we really pride ourselves in, and that I think is evidence that the board is doing an outstanding job of designing a budget that provides exceptional opportunities for our students in the most fiscally responsible manner possible, are the achievements of our students that we see again and again every year. In addition to the many areas of recognition that our students receive in athletics, in co-curricular, and the arts, I highlighted a couple on here. Recently, we actually were one of 7 recipients in New Jersey of the Lighthouse Award for our efforts towards diversifying our workforce, for diversifying our workforce and retaining a more diverse workforce. And that is still a work in progress, but diversity, equity, inclusion is one of our strategic plan goals, so it's just a nice indicator that we're making progress in the right direction. We also were recognized by the College Board with the 2022 AP Computer Science Principals Female Diversity Award, and that is the second time we've actually been recognized for that award, and that's from expanding access to our AP Computer Science Principals course, as well as increasing the achievement of the students in that course, and specifically the female students. And then it was pretty exciting as well that our robotics team, I think for the first time ever, advanced to the semifinals of the International First Robotics Competition in 2022. So those are just a few highlights of some of the amazing feats that our students accomplish. Recently we had a STEAM fair, and I didn't realize the other day until the science supervisor said that some of the freshmen who don't know me thought I was a scientist. She asked to come visit the fair because I asked so many questions, because their projects are just amazing. And the concepts that these students think of, one of them had developed a robotic hand to help visually impaired individuals. Their projects were outstanding, and I continue to be in awe of the students that attend our school. So some of the items that are new, that next year's budget include, for any of you who have visited our track, it's nice. It's like stadium seating on the track because part of it has sunken, the innermost circle of the track, so we do need to replace that to get that repaired, because it does make it very hard to actually host track meets there. We are continuing our one-to-one Chromebook initiative, so the incoming ninth graders will receive those. And we also, we had utilized ESSER funds, grant funding, to fund a new program that we had started a couple of years ago. We call it our Empower program. And it's something we'd been talking about for a couple of years, but didn't have the funding to actually get it underway. But it's been very successful with helping our students who need assistance with academic credit recovery or just need some additional assistance in their courses to stay on track to graduate in 4 years. And we've actually seen excellent results with that using the grant funding for the past 2 years. So we've worked that into our general operating budget. So now I'm going to turn it over to Tim to talk about some more of the financial details. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jewett, Honorable Mayor, members of the committee. Again, I'll echo the words of Dr. Jewett. It's always a pleasure to come here. I frequent all your stores, so I think I've eaten everything. Probably too much, but anyway, no, it's always a pleasure to be here, and thank you for having us. This year's budget was definitely a challenge. I would assume that the township, the local K-8, many places are having the same issue, and there's probably two big reasons. One is healthcare. The cost of healthcare for just about everybody has gone up, and that was, that COVID bubble. After the COVID bubble, people got back to the doctors, so claims hit, and yada yada yada. But so that obviously was a big factor in all of our municipal and school district budgets. And the other one, and you guys all know the same story: inflation. Everything you're paying for has gone up. So that made it a challenge. The board is uniquely concerned about the residents because they know the residents are also dealing with those same two things and many other things that have gone up. So the idea was, as best we can, to make a responsible budget, even with the challenge that we had. So our total budget is shade over 51 million, which is 3% more spending than last year. We did get a little more state aid in our operating budget, $2.4 million. Last year it was about 2.2. So we're about $180,000 up. One thing that we are very proud of is we put out an $8 million bond referendum project. We're going to pay off the bond in 1 year. And we did get $2.7 million of state debt service aid. And we're using $5.3 million of our own capital reserve, our own surplus, to fund that project. So as we had said when we were going to the public, we're going to have an $8 million project. We're going to get $2.7 million from the state, and we're going to spend $5 million of our own surplus. So there will not be a tax impact on the voters, on the taxpayers. So that was good news, and we were very happy that happened. And we did, I think last year we talked about the beginning of what we called an ESIP program, an Energy Savings Improvement Program. Lots of delays on that, as you would probably guess. The HVAC equipment, we finally got our last 5 pieces over spring break. So we finally got those in. So we have 13 new rooftop units. We have a 2,000 kilowatt solar system. We replaced all of our interior lights with LED lights. So the idea is we have a 15-year lease, and over that 15 years, the energy savings and the fact that we have less maintenance on some of those units, certainly in the lighting, will pay for that over the course of the 15 years. The bottom line is we did all that stuff, and in 15 years, it's not going to impact the voters or the taxpayers because it's embedded in the budget. So that was a good project, and we're happy that we finally are near the end of it. And in terms of tax rate, I split it between tax rate and then that average tax home. The tax rate for us actually goes down slightly. If on $100,000, it's down 0.0308, so less than 1%. But if you take the average home to the average home, which has increased in your town about 3%, a little over that, that's a $52 increase over the year for that average home. So again, the board was very concerned about taxpayers. I will tell you that. They told us over and over, and we did our best to put a budget together that helps the students and is at least somewhat kind to the taxpayers as best we could do. But again, pleasure to be here, and if you have any questions, we would certainly be happy to take them.
Thank you. Any questions here from the board? Guy?
First off,
Microphone.
Dr. Jewett, thank you. As you said, you feel like you sound like a broken record each year thanking, and I want to extend that same courtesy to you and Tim. And actually, it's really a pleasant surprise to see a board member here as well. Carol's a dear friend, but besides that, she's also on the board of the high school, and I think that's, I appreciate you taking the time to be here. And your willingness year after year. I don't know if we ever invited you. I think
We invite ourselves.
that's what I thought. That's what I thought. And but that's wonderful that you come in. So I want to thank you. I know the challenge for schools in general and public schools in particular are declining enrollment, and I don't know how the math works out. I know in 2000 the town's population was a little around 8,800. Now it's about 8,630 or whatever the last census was. So I think when I first moved in, the high school population was, as you pointed out, I think it was closer to 2,400.
Before I got here, yes, it was, maxed out in terms of our capacity.
And I don't understand how that, I guess families are having less children. I don't know what it is, but we've only gone down, whatever, a couple of percent in terms of total population.
I think this is just my personal opinion, I think that these towns are so great that once people's kids are out of the schools, they don't move out. So I just think there's more empty nesters here because they actually really love the towns. So they don't, when their kids are out of school, they're not moving out so that other families are moving in. That's just my, kind of speculation.
Are there any credible forecasters out there as to what predicts what enrollment would be?
Well, we're looking to do a demographic study. We did one a number of years ago, but with all of the building going on, we want to get a
Right.
more accurate picture of that because we do predict that it's going to
And
increase.
and to your point, I think it's important for the people that pay for this product to understand. So sometimes you go on social media, which, in my weak moments, I go look and they say, oh, the population is exploding and the classrooms are bursting at the seams. Well, neither one of those are true. And I think it's important for people to understand, and for us to understand, and especially you, and for Carol and the board to really get a deep dive into those numbers. And I saw there was a big article on New York schools yesterday about this very point. It's not specific to Long Hill or Bernardsville. It's statewide and apparently nationwide. So it's something that's hard to get a grip on. We know we're going to have a number of units built over the next few years. So we're doing our best to work with Fair Share and to fulfill our obligation. I think we're very willing and want to do that. But we have to see how it impacts our infrastructure, which obviously includes the schools. So I'm not really asking a question as much as you answered the one I would have had. Will you have a demographic study done to try to calculate where we're going to go with these units that are coming in? I'm sure you are aware, we have, Jack, is there any way to avoid drinking that cup coming in 2025?
I wish there were.
So we have another round coming. We don't know what our obligation will be. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge for us. When we look at our budget, it's a challenge for you. I don't have any solutions for you. But one thing I do know, you guys have done a very, very assiduous job trying to figure out what to balance, provide the product at a fair cost. So thank you.
I have a didn't we just have a problem with the track like 4 or 5 years ago? Didn't you have to replace it?
It was about 10 years ago.
Was it that long? Is this like,
Yeah.
is this
It was
issue of?
before I got here.
It was,
actually, So
okay.
it was about
Yeah.
10, yeah.
But that was shortly after it got put in. So I don't know, is this an issue of the lowest bidder doing the work, or it's just,
We had a problem when we replaced the field. Afterwards, we had to they had to replace the concrete border in the turf field. When they did that, they disrupted the track in lane 1. And then, if you remember that rather large rainstorm that we had, I don't know, I forgot what the name of it was, but it was just flooded everywhere. That had water just completely overtake the track. We believe the water got down into that crack, and then it started doing its dirty work. That's pretty much was what precipitated it, unfortunately, because we were planning just to do some minor touch-up work, and then about a year after that happened, it just got
The
worse.
board has been
quick.
talking about the track since my first board meeting
Oh,
10
okay.
years ago.
10 years.
Yeah.
well, the other question I have is, this is a jump, if a student's sent out of district for placement, for whatever reason it is, does your Board of Ed pay for it, or how does that work?
It's for, if
If a
you're-
student is sent out of district for like a special need to another
Yeah,
school?
we pay for that and the transportation, and they both are very expensive.
That's why I'm asking. Do you have any, just a rough estimate of how much that 51 million goes to out-of-district placement?
Well, we're almost, for just the tuition alone, it's close to 3 million.
Not counting trans.
Not counting
Not counting the
transportation.
transportation, yeah.
Okay.
And plus, there's other services that may be required, so, yeah, that number this particular year jumped on us quite a bit. It went up about 15%, which was brutal.
Is that because there's more students, or just because the costs went up?
It's a combination of both. We
Okay.
did get some more ninth grade students coming in, and keep in mind that in a lot of cases, we keep the kids until they're 21. So that, it's not like you have a couple dropping off every year. They're there for a bit, so that makes it tough.
Is that 3 million just for out-of-district? It doesn't?
That's out-of-district
So it doesn't
tuition.
include what I think you alluded to?
There's in-district costs for kids that are.
mainstream.
Correct.
Do you have an idea of that, or not really?
Not off the top of my head. It's,
And that's also
Fortunately, it's higher. I will tell you, per pupil, it's higher.
No, understood. By the way, speaking of sports, how are your tennis courts doing? And I don't see, is Lisa still there? The reason I ask, is again, my addiction to social media. Our tennis courts are struggling just a touch, but I think it's a function of the Northeast. I know a couple of years ago, the high school tennis courts, and then you had them renovated.
Yes.
Yeah, ours are doing pretty good. We actually,
We had a meadow growing in the middle of the tennis courts at one point, so.
we did. No, we replaced, ours is concrete, and it has almost, the way I describe it is almost like a suspension bridge underneath it. It's got like metal rods going across. We did that because the ground there, it's kind of next to wetlands. So the architect felt that being the case, this system would be the best for that particular court. So far, it's
Yeah,
been
we
great.
had issues.
Yeah, so far, it's been really good.
I mean, it's almost part of being in the Northeast. I know Warren's having trouble with their courts, and I think Watchung as well.
It
And I
is.
had a little sticker shock. I spoke with Rec Director Lisa Scanlon the other night, and what I thought was going to be a number, it was higher.
Well, and listen, we paid quite a bit.
And that's why it took us so long to do it, too.
We
because-
did, but listen, what you paid a year, 2 years ago and what you're paying now,
Yeah.
it's gone up quite a bit.
Anyway, I'm sorry we went down that, other than I was curious, as long as yours are holding up.
They're doing great. It's a concrete court. It's pretty neat.
Thank you.
Vic, Brendan, anything?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much for coming tonight. It's good to see you. We appreciate the information. Always good, and good luck in the coming year.
Thank you.
Thank
And thank
you.
you for
Same to
always
you.
accepting our invitation to ourselves to attend your meeting. We appreciate it. And if you have any questions about Watchung Hills, Carol is our resident encyclopedia.
Yes.
We reach out to her if we need historical knowledge on the district, so
Yep.
she's been a tremendous
We know where to find Carol.
asset to the board.
All right,
Thank you so much.
Take care, guys.
Thank you, Dr. Jim. Thank you, Tim and Carol. Thank you for being here.
Okay, All right, so moving forward, we're going to go to ordinances. First is ordinance 514-23. This is a first reading and introduction, and there'll be a public hearing scheduled on May 10th. But Jack, can you just give us a quick synopsis of what this is?
Yes, Mayor, the state recently enacted a new law regarding campaign finance and pay-to-play. And as part of that new law, they preempted all local ordinances. Under the old ordinance, under the old statute, we could adopt stricter ordinances than the state regulations. And we did do that. Now this new law says that any such ordinances in effect are automatically expired. So really, all we're doing here is taking it out of our code book because the statute actually preempts it, and we couldn't enforce it anyway.
Okay. All right, any discussion here on the dais?
No.
Vic? Guy? Matt? Nope. Okay, so the public hearing on this will be scheduled for May 10th. Can I have a motion to approve ordinance 514-23?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Ray?
Yes.
Committeeman Verleza?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia?
Yes.
Mayor Lavender?
Yes. Okay, next, ordinance 515-23. This is also for first reading, and a public hearing on this would be scheduled for May 10th. This is an ordinance increasing dog license fees and amending Chapter 5 of the code entitled Animal Control. Jack, could you give us an overview of this?
Yes, all this does is increases our local fees to the maximum permitted by the state statute.
Okay. Very good. Any discussion?
What's it going from, I mean, I know, Megan, we discussed this. What is it and what will it be?
1750 to 21.
21 on the nose. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve ordinance 515-23?
So moved.
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Ray?
Yes.
Committeeman Verleza?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia?
Yes.
Mayor Lavender?
Yes. Okay, next. Ordinance 509-23. This is a second reading and adoption of an ordinance establishing rules for emergency medical services for patient care facilities and creating a new Chapter 19 in the code. And at this time, well, Jack, before we do that, can you just give a quick overview of what this is?
Yes, Mayor. Give me 1 second. The purpose of this ordinance, Mayor, is to preserve the availability of emergency medical services when they're needed for residents. And what it does is it requires all patient care facilities to own, lease, rent, or have promptly available by contract sufficient, appropriately staffed private ambulance services for the treatment and transport of patients in need of non-emergency medical care. Those services shall be available 24/7. Within 60 days, each such facility has to submit proof of compliance to the borough or the township clerk. That must include a written contract with at least 2 private ambulance services, or they can operate their own. Then they must provide proof of their vehicles and things like that. And then there are penalties under the general penalty section of our township code, which sets fines. So if they don't comply, a summons would be issued, and they'd be summoned to municipal court.
Okay.
How fast does this go into effect?
60
They-
days.
It
60
actually
days.
takes effect immediately, but they have 60 days to comply.
So if they say we vote for it, yes, there's a violation on Friday, we can't fine them, or we can?
Correct.
Oh,
We're
okay.
giving them 60 days to comply.
Is that by statute, it has to be 60 days?
No, that's what we
Oh, we reduce that?
We can. It just seemed it would take some time to enter into contracts or whatever,
Oh, all right.
if they don't have them already.
Any other discussion on the dice?
No.
All right, so at this point, I'd like to open the public hearing. If you would like to comment or ask questions on ordinance 509-23, you're welcome. Seeing none, Megan, anybody on Zoom?
If anybody on Zoom would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand now. I don't see anyone, Mayor.
Okay, well then I'll close the public hearing. Can I have a motion to approve ordinance 509-23?
Motion to approve, so moved.
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Ray?
Yes.
Committeeman Verleza?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pasurcia?
Yes.
Mayor Lavender?
Yes. Okay, next, Matt, I think you need to recuse yourself for this. This is ordinance 512-23, second reading and adoption. An ordinance approving an application for a long-term tax exemption and authorizing the execution of a financial agreement with Sterling SL Urban Renewal. Jack, can you give us a quick summary of this?
Yes, this is with the proposed assisted living facility to be constructed at the car wash site. What it is, it's a payment in lieu of taxes, which makes the project economically feasible. And what happens is that, based on the formula set forth in the pilot agreement, they pay a certain percentage of their gross income every year to the township. It's in place for 30 years. The township keeps 95% of those payments, and 5% goes to the county.
Okay. Any discussion up here? Guy, Vic, or Brendan?
Nope.
No? Okay, at this point, I will open it to public hearing. If you have any questions or comments on ordinance 513-23, please state your name and where
My
you
name is
live.
Carol Prasa, Millington. I'm really just a little confused about the long-term effect of this. I understand that we are allowed to negotiate for a shorter term than this particular pilot taxation is. Is that correct? The law would allow us to negotiate for a shorter term?
That's correct.
That is correct, okay. Not having any idea what the world is going to be like, our town is going to be like 20 years, 30 years from now. I look back at the last 30 years. Do we have any remedy that I know this is a relatively new law allowing this to happen, so is there any remedy if a town finds himself with unintended consequences? I know for a fact that the way it's structured, it will, I'm going to use the word negative, in my opinion, negatively affect the formula for the high school budget because of the way that is structured, because it's a regional system and it's structured differently. So my question is, has anybody tested this on the long term? If they're finding out, let's say 10 years down the road, that this has negative impact on a community, has anyone tested it? Is there any remedy? I don't know. Is that a question?
Could you be more specific about what you would define as negative
A
impact?
remedy? Well,
No,
do
negative
we
impact.
have the high school?
No, can you be more specific when you use the phrase negative impact?
I'm talking about the high school budget.
Okay, can you explain?
I wish Tim was still here, because the high school budget, a regional system, is financed differently than a local school. All right, we'll start with that as a simple fact. It's a somewhat complex formula. It's like, I'm going to have a test or something. It's based on several things. The first thing is the population of the students that each sending district is sending. And the second element of it is the assessed value of the community. In other words, if our entire town every single bit of property in our town is worth $10, that's our assessed value. Now, the pilot funding does not get factored into that. That sits outside that formula, so that by itself would indicate. Then there's some other little socioeconomic things and other things that are a little complex, and I wouldn't even try to explain them to you. So yes, it will affect the high school formula, there's no question about it. how much will this one property over this amount of time actually affect it? Well, we could all, do the math and come up probably with a whole bunch of different answers about it. It's relatively minor, but it is a fact. It will affect it. So my question is, suppose we find ourselves 10 years out with a whole bunch of other kinds of unintended consequences because we've not really seen how this plays out in the town. Do we have any ability to do anything about that? I guess that's...
Not if they're living up to their part of the bargain, side of the bargain. Now, but if it's not counted toward the allocation, would our share be lower than if it were included in the assessed value?
Wouldn't our share be lower?
Yeah, if it's based on, and I don't know how they count it. I'm
Yes.
familiar with school law. But the other thing is Warren has
Okay.
a number of
Warren
pilots.
has done a number, you're absolutely right, Jack. Yes, our share would be lower.
Right.
So that would be that. And Warren, are the various sending districts going to play a game of who can outplay who on this with pilot?
I
mean, I
can't
have
predict
no idea how this is going to play out. And over such a long term, I guess that's all I want to say. I'm just sharing a concern. It just seems like such a long-term decision without really knowing or having any real remedy that I can see. That's it. And on the school, why do we have a school population? Can I say that now rather than have to wait to the end of the
ahead.
meeting? The school population grows typically in relationship to a lot of new development in town. And with that, you get a bubble of children, and they move through the system. Basically, I say that. That's basically how it happens. When we have all this new building, there will be a new bubble of children, and they will move their way through. And then, as Tim and Elizabeth said, then a lot of folks my age don't move, so that the community tends to stabilize a little bit. But if you look back at history, the big bulk of education and the need for building new schools is very much in relationship to a massive amount of new building in town, a large amount of new building in town, advance 5 years, and suddenly you have a whole big group of children that go through the school. But I don't know if that helps you a little bit, but that's...
Well, a little bit, but I mean, I've played with these numbers. It's not something I thought of on the fly here. For example, the K-8 schools, the 3 buildings, are built per a study that was commissioned by then school superintendent and current acting superintendent, Renee Rovtar, to fit 1,300 students. We never even got to 1,300 students.
We're wandering off topic now.
No, but I'm
We could do
just
that at
saying
the
it's-
end. I'm
it's-
sorry. I
No,
brought it up
that's
rather
fine.
just do it. So,
You know,
anyway, that's...
you threw him a little bit of red meat. He'll just run with it.
do it. I mean, we could certainly
What
talk
I
about
say is a
that
fact.
I know it's a
at
fact.
another
It's a
time.
fact.
And
All right.
and the other, I know you're off topic, but the high school, of course, doesn't have to do the same kind of studies as a local school because we have the privilege of just looking at how many students are coming up. They have to start with how many children are being born in town and that sort of thing. So it's much easier for us to predict. So,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Would anybody else in the courtroom like to comment?
Charles Renowitz, Millington. First, let me welcome our new Township Administrator, Randy Barr, to his first meeting. Welcome, Randy. Item 1. An article in the Echoes on April 6 states Lavender Dorsey Talk 2013 run, April 6.
Chuck, we're talking about...
Yeah,
the
I'm going to
ordinance.
get to it exactly to the point.
Okay, thank you.
One of their items in their statement was about the pilot. It's going to bring in 10 times the current revenue from the car wash. Question for Attorney Pigeon tonight. With Mr. Dorsey not here right now because of a conflict of interest, is this statement out of line by Mr. Dorsey, especially since we're just having the hearing tonight on April 12th, when he had to recuse himself?
I'm not going to comment about a comment in the newspaper.
Well, but he came out and said he's for the pilot when he can't vote on it, and we haven't decided on it. He needs to be reprimanded for such statements, Attorney Pigeon.
He can take a position, he just can't vote on it or discuss it with the township committee.
Do you think a statement like this in the paper on April 12th is going to influence people?
I don't know. I have
It
no further
does.
comment.
He shouldn't have said it. At the March 22nd Township Committee meeting, Mr. Pigeon confirmed he was not an expert on pilots. I think we all agree with that. I certainly do. Therefore, members of the Township Committee, who was your advisor on this financial arrangement? Mr. Pichera?
Well, I know the difference between $40,000 and $500,000 a year. That I am an expert on.
Microphone.
Excuse me.
So who advised you? Mayor? Brendan? Mr. Velez? I'm looking for a response.
Chuck, how do you define being an expert on pilots? How do you
I define it?
yeah, how do you define it?
I went to Warren Township's presentation on pilots, and their attorney got up and said, I'm an expert on pilots. I worked on 25 of them. If you've got any questions, see me. I consider him an expert.
So we had about, how many lawyers did we have look at this, Jack?
3 or 4 at least.
Right. And the rest of us reviewed the finances. I don't think it's rocket science in here. Brendan, do you see anything complicated in here?
Conceptually, I'm in favor of it, and the professionals will take care of it
Vic?
as we're moving forward.
No one can speak for themselves.
Guy, you're in finance. Do you understand it?
Yes.
All right.
All right, so who were the four
I think-
attorneys?
Well, first off, for the public, I want to say, Long Hill Township has never done a pilot, at least since I've been.
There's never been one here.
I'm
That's
not aware
correct.
of one.
There is not.
All right, so Berkeley Heights has 7 active pilots.
And
as we speak.
Warren has 6.
So.
We have 1.
Okay,
Well, we're going to have 1.
okay.
We also had the assessor and the CFO review it, both of whom have financial expertise.
Who are the 4 attorneys that reviewed this?
Jack?
Jack said he has no experience on it.
I
Nancy?
have some experience, and I reviewed the
You've
body
got-
of
you've
it. I
got-
just
you've
can't
got
comment
3
on
law- you-
the finances.
You have 2 lawyers right here.
Who were the outside attorneys that looked at this, please?
We didn't say outside attorneys.
I'm sorry?
We didn't say outside
Chuck,
attorneys.
exactly what are you trying to establish?
Because I think this is a critical decision for the township, and you hired attorneys when we went after Naga. We've got a big issue in this town for 30 years, and you don't hire any expertise to guide you. That's the issue, Mayor.
Yeah, I don't think that's relevant.
I do.
What's your next question, Chuck? Keep going.
Okay. Mayor Lavender,
Yes.
since you could not answer my question on March 22nd about the future assessed value of this property, please answer for the public who are not subscribers to the Echoes that you replied to Nicole on April 10th instead of replying to me. Please state that answer so the listening public can hear that response.
So I replied to you at the last meeting.
You didn't answer the assessed value question. I'm sorry, Mayor.
All right, let me restate it, and let's find out where we have a disconnect, you and I.
I'll read it to you if you want.
No, don't read it to me. Chuck, come back.
I got to get the article.
Oh.
I have it.
Okay. Do you have the Exhibit A, page 18 of the proposal?
I have that as well.
All right. Total project cost estimate, 54,488,905, correct?
Correct.
If you were going to estimate what the taxes would be against that, you would take the then current tax rate, let's assume 2.267 this year.
Yep.
And multiply it times that property cost, you would come up with 1.235263. Now, that's making several assumptions, that that's what the final development cost is, number one, and that that's what the tax rate is at the time it's assessed.
That's not what you said on March 22nd.
I believe that's what it was. I believe that's what I said.
Well, I'll read it to you what you said.
Well, please do.
Quote, Lavender stated at the March 22nd meeting that the property currently generates about $45,000 in taxes, with the township receiving approximately 30% of the sum, or $13,500.
That is correct.
He further explained the estimated property taxes once assisted living is built in a Monday, April 10th interview, okay? That's not what you said on the 22nd. You said the estimated property taxes amount to the total project cost times the current tax rate. Then you told Nicole that the total development cost is $54 million. Just be honest and upfront. That's all I ask.
Don't call me dishonest. You're talking about something said to someone else that you're replaying back to me.
No, you're talking to the paper instead of talking to us. You never answered my question on the 22nd and what the tax was going to be.
This is what I said on the 22nd, Chuck.
No, you didn't.
All right, fine. We can agree to
Okay.
disagree.
Let's take so we take the 1.2 million. Do you agree with that number?
That is a theoretical number
Great.
based upon whatever the cost is at the end, plus whatever the tax rate is at that time.
Great.
Great.
Okay, so extrapolate that out.
I am not going to extrapolate that out.
I'll do it for you.
No. You're going to take two abstracts and derive another abstract from it? That is a straw man that you're setting up to knock down yourself.
That's what you did to
No,
come
it
up with the
isn't.
30 years. Okay? Let me take the 1.2 million. With no inflation, no increase in taxes, just straight out number. It's 36 million.
Yeah, if you can magically take a wand and put
Yeah,
that on that
I'm
site
gonna do
right
it.
there. Why don't we build an amusement park and tell us
Yeah.
what that is? Why don't we build a skyscraper? Why don't we put a swimming pool there? You cannot take one abstract and derive a second abstract from it. Like, there's only two things we know. We get 45,000, of which we get about 10,000 to the town on that right now. We have nothing there. We have an eyesore. And we have a proposal on the table to build something that will generate revenue and create homes for retired people and people who need assisted living.
What assumptions do you put in for the 30 years on the revenue growth?
For tax revenue?
Yes.
I'm not going to put any assumptions in.
Well, let me
If we
tell you
put in-
this.
I can put in-
Read
right
the
now,
numbers.
it's 2%
Did
annually
they
in the
increase every
plan.
year? What was the percentage increase every year once they reached full capacity at 97%? Did you bump it up?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Read the exhibit where the 30 years are. Let's not play games here, okay?
I'm not playing games, Chuck. I think you're playing games.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
So I'm going to take the 36 million straight off the top.
I'm not taking a 30.
I am.
Well, you can take it.
I am.
It's a fictitious
So if
number,
there's
it's a dream.
inflation or whatever, taxes aren't going to go down. So let's take the 36 somewhere from 36 to 46.
Look, you're going to take the
We're
36,
gonna get
Chuck.
20.
You want to keep setting up a straw man to knock it down, you go ahead.
All right, I'm
But
going to.
I do not accept your assertion that there's a $36 million number there.
You
cannot
said
do-
1.2 million the first year. Did you not assess value?
I said a property of that value at that rate would be that. That is in and of itself an abstract. But what we have here on the paper right now is a service charge that escalates over 30 years, which is a deal, which is money coming in versus money that we see right now, which is about 45,000, 10,000 of which is ours.
What I'm trying to draw for you, Mayor, 20 million is a great number. But what if it is 36? What if it is 46? Is that a better number?
Yeah, but that's how pilot programs work, Chuck.
I understand. I just want you to understand what we're giving up, okay?
We're not giving up
Let me
anything, we're
continue.
gaining.
Is it this particular pilot program or pilot programs in general you have a problem?
Let me continue. Based on the current taxes in this arrangement, which is based upon revenue projections, is that not a projection, Mr. Mayor?
That's a projection based upon
Revenue.
market dynamics.
Right. Well, let me tell you about market dynamics. What happens if revenue drops substantially? There's a new 100-plus unit going by the Shabbat by the Baptist Church. Mr. Spiro has had conversations with our attorney about building another senior housing complex next to Walgreens. So now we have a potential for 3. So what happens possibly to the revenue that's been projected? Competition breeds what?
You want to comment, Jack?
Just, I mean, I think, Chuck, the conversations took place not just with Jack. There were a number of us involved in the subcommittee, and just as far as the two facilities, they won't actually be in competition with one another. They're kind of different populations. One beside the Walgreens right now is envisaged for people who truly need assisted living, and the one in the car wash is for people who still have some mobility and don't need the same level of care.
So I don't want a response. Just think about the projections of revenue over 30 years with other competitions. If something happens, what happens to that revenue? I don't want a response. Who set the term of this financial arrangement for 30 years? Hello?
That was the proposal we got, Chuck.
And you didn't change it? You talk about projections, oh, it's so difficult, Chuck, you're making a big issue, you don't know this, inflation, I'm gonna sign an agreement for 30 years because I can do it better than you can.
What would you have done it for?
15. Let me read to you from the experts from Warren, which we don't have here. The term, quote, the term of a financial agreement is 35 years from the adoption of the financial agreement, or 30 years from the first certificate of occupancy, period. The term can be negotiated for a shorter period of time. If you're concerned about projections and what it's going to cost, and your expert advisors that you hired that reviewed all this, I think you should have cut it down from 30 to some more reasonable where you have a more accurate projection, maybe 15. So I don't know who your advisors were, but I certainly would have hired the people from Warren. Based on what our board member, Carol Prosser, brought up tonight about the assessed value of this township and what we're charged as a sending district to Watchung Hills Regional High School, what is the impact of this 30-year agreement on that calculated cost per student that we're going to be charged?
Honestly, I don't see the relevance of that.
Well, because here's the relevance,
What's the impact?
Mr.
No,
Financial
Chuck,
Expert.
Chuck, you asked the question, I'm going to answer.
All right, go ahead and respond.
What's the impact of Warren's 6 or 7 pilots on their, the high school sets a budget. The township collects the taxes to pay that budget. I mean, it doesn't have any impact, certainly no negative impact on the funding of the high school. None, zero. That's the only thing you need to know. As far as what impact it has on our tax rate relative to Warren's, what impact did Warren's 6 or 7 pilots or Watchung's 3 or 4 pilots have on whatever their tax base was?
What was it?
I don't know, and honestly, I don't care. I
Well, I
don't
do.
run Warren.
I'm going to explain that to you. Can I talk now? I love your expressions. It's beautiful. I love the respect. I really like it.
Whatever, go ahead.
You know, this decorum ordinance should have worked both ways, because I don't like being disrespected. The point is, you as a group do not know how the allocation of cost per student is worked for the sending district. It's based upon assessed value, and if you're not going to put this $54 million in the assessed value, our cost per student's going to go up, just so you know.
Go down.
You want to answer that?
Want to go down?
No, it will not.
Would go down.
Our CFO would like,
Would go down.
former CFO
The
would.
current assessed value that we would lose is $473,500. That's the improvement value of the car wash as it currently exists. The land value of 1.5 million may be the same at the time of this pilot program, because the land value is going to be taxed. So that assessed value will remain on the books. The cost of $54 million to build this building, the assessed value will never be $54 million, because assessments don't take into consideration soft costs of building, contingencies, and the like. With an income-producing property, income plays a driving portion of the assessed value when the assessor comes up with the total value. So, as it currently stands, the lost value, assessed value, would be $473,500.
Thank you. My point tonight is, we make a major, I don't have the answer, okay? But we make a major financial decision tonight. I don't believe it should be 30 years. I want the eyesore removed. I think you should have done your homework and hired an advisor that was experienced like they have in Warren, and maybe that 15-year agreement versus 30 should be in place. But I don't believe you did not do your homework and didn't get the proper advice and the experienced counsel to move forward with this agreement that we need, so important to this town, and I don't believe 30 years is the right agreement. And I think you, Mayor, agreed when I started the 2.1, we can't project. Well, how'd you project 30? Then go 10, go 15. My recommendation tonight is defer this decision on the second reading and get the proper advice on the term of this agreement on behalf of the taxpayers, and stop talking to the newspaper and talk to the public. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the courtroom would like to opine on this? Megan, anybody online?
Anybody on Zoom that would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand now. I don't see anyone, Mayor.
Okay, I will close the public hearing, and can I have a motion to approve 512-23?
So moved.
Second.
Committeeman Ray?
Yes.
Committeeman Verleza?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia?
Yes.
Mayor Lavender?
Yes. Okay, now we need Committeeman Dorsey back. Okay, next, Ordinance 513-23. This is for second reading and adoption. This is amending Section 16-10 of the Township Code entitled Lead-Based Paint Hazard Inspections. Jack, do you want to give a summary of this?
Yes, Mayor. There was a new state law enacted recently which requires towns to have lead-based paint inspections of all rental properties that were constructed prior to 1978. When the statute was passed, we adopted an ordinance. Now we need to make some refinements to that ordinance so it's consistent with the contract we're entering into with an outside contractor to perform those services.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on this on the dais? Vic?
Nope.
Guy, Matt?
No, sir.
Okay, let's open the public hearing on ordinance 513-23. Anybody in the courtroom want to say anything? Seeing none, anybody online?
Anybody on Zoom would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand now. I don't see anyone, Mayor.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Can I have a motion to approve ordinance 513-23?
So moved.
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Ray?
Yes.
Committeeman Verleza?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pasurgia?
Yes.
Mayor Lavender?
Yes. Okay. Moving on to consent agenda resolutions. There are two changes to Resolution 23-106. The bus driver should be $36.40 per hour. It was posted as $35. This is a new number with a 4% increase. And the code/zoning enforcement official should be 27. It was posted as
There's no increase.
yeah, it was posted as 26. The employee isn't receiving a raise. There hasn't been one here yet. Okay,
We also have an additional resolution, Mayor.
okay.
To add to the consent agenda. It will be Resolution 23-114, and I'll read it. It's brief since it's not in the agenda. Whereas Lisa Scanlon has rescinded her resignation as Township Recreation Director, now therefore be it resolved by the Township Committee that it does hereby repeal Resolution 23-084, accepting Lisa Scanlon's resignation that was adopted on March 8, 2023.
Yeah, and I'll comment, we're thrilled that Lisa reconsidered with all the changes that we've had in place over the last several weeks. The last thing we needed was to head into the heaviest part of the rec season without a person who we love very dearly.
Agreed.
So thrilled that that Lisa is going to stay. Okay. Brendan, I think you are abstaining from 23-107. Is that true?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
And then I'd like to pull 23-106 out for further discussion.
Okay. All right, so I guess we do that now, right?
Well, you can
No, you
do,
do the consent agenda
Yeah.
first and then go
Okay,
back
then
to
we'll pull that out.
106.
All right. So can I have a motion to approve resolution 23-104 through 23-113 with the exception of 23-106 and with Committeeman Ray abstaining from 23-107
And including 23-114.
and including 23-114.
So moved.
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Ray?
Yes.
Committeeman Verleza?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pasurgia?
Yes.
Mayor Lavender?
Yes. Okay, 23-106. Brendan, you wanted to pull that.
Yeah, just, you know, I'm not against the raises that are detailed here, but so, you know, right now we're in a temporary budget and this is 4%, it's well above the cap that we're working under. And so I just like to, personally, I would vote yes on this. I'd like to see it in the context of the entire budget.
So you would like to defer it?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I mean, I don't know how everybody else feels, but you know, just the fact that we haven't, that we're still working on the temporary budget, I haven't seen the final budget and how these numbers work into it, that I would, personally, I would have to vote no right now. But, you know, again, if we want to defer it, great. If not, I just, that's why I removed it from the consent.
Yeah. Randy, do you want to comment?
I can. I've been working on the budget with the mayor. He's been included in all our updates. Currently, I have a couple minor adjustments to make, which will bring down the tax obligation. Currently, the top tax obligation is 2.08%. So we're well under the 2% cap, because as everybody knows, there are exceptions to the 2% cap. So it's not, everybody thinks it's a true 2% cap. It's not. There's a lot of exceptions to that cap, and especially in a year where they actually made more exceptions to the cap because of certain statutory increases and health benefit increases. Later on, either tomorrow or Friday, I'll be forwarding the copy of the budget so that you guys can take a look at, so that we can have a discussion on it and get it introduced, and then have a presentation in between the introduction and the public hearing, so that everybody has an understanding of what's going on with the budget, what it includes and what's not included. These raises are within the budget, as I will propose.
As I say, I'm not against it. I just haven't seen anything, so I'll vote the way I vote. But I don't know how everybody else feels, of whether we need to do it tonight or whether we can wait till we've seen the budget or not.
Randy, when do we, remind me, when do we normally go through this process?
No.
About this time of the year, since I've been here.
And would it be unusual for us to do this before the budget was introduced?
I believe last year we did it before the budget was introduced.
Okay, so we're not doing anything unusual.
It's not unusual. I mean, you have to remember, this is the non-union people. All the unionized personnel, if they have contracts, which they do, the collective bargaining agreements went in effect January 1st. So those salary increases we're paying for.
Okay. Any other comments on,
I had another question. Randy,
Yeah.
this is retroactive, so whether we did it today or 2 months from now, when would it go into effect?
This is retroactive back to January 1st.
Okay, so the people that get paid, they would get the raise and whatever the paycheck would be, plus then a retro check from January 1st until the raise goes into effect?
Correct.
Okay.
any other comments?
I'm good.
All right, can I have a motion to approve Resolution 23-106?
So moved.
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Rai?
No.
Committeeman Verleza?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pasurcia?
Yes.
Mayor Lavender?
Yes. Okay, moving on. Liaison reports. Vic, let's start down with you. Recreation?
All right, I'm going to need some assistance with the slide projector, I believe.
You can start talking and I'll
All right.
go.
Slide 1, we have the Peter Cottontail spring packet and tracking of Peter Cottontail through the Long Hill Parks was a huge success. Peter Cottontail left a lot of evidence of his trail behind. Children had fun solving daily riddles to uncover where Peter Cottontail left behind clues to his trail through Long Hill. Slides number 2 through 4. The spring egg hunt was a huge success with 8,000 eggs scattered through the park. Our egg hunters had plenty to collect. Peter Cottontail was very busy. Mountainside Stables returned again with a petting zoo and pony rides for the kids. Refreshments were provided and a good time was had by all. The Long Hill Chamber of Commerce ran an adult egg hunt and local businesses lined the trail to greet our families at the event. Long Hill Recreation would also like to send out special thanks to the following: Long Hill Chamber of Commerce and in particular Gary Giannakis and Mary Mayer for all their organization efforts and getting the businesses to the event. Larry Bazinski of LMB Audio Services for the sound production of the event. Long Hill TV crew for providing the video. Long Hill Recreation Advisory Committee, and in particular Daniel Rogers and his family for getting there extra early with us. Christine Merrill for photographing the event. Marlene Janis and her son for leading our Hungry Egg Hunters. And I got to get glasses here. It's like blurry for me. And Alyssa and Trish Giannakis. We'd like to also thank members of the Central School Community Services Group, Peter Cottontail himself with assistance from Kara Hermes and Ron Saluski, the Long Hill First Aid Quad, in particular Bob English and Desiree Mitchell, the Long Hill Police Department, in particular Officer Jake and Officer Brian, Mayor Scott Lavender for jumping in and helping down on the field, Deputy Mayor Guy Pacercia, and Committeeman Matt Dorsey for jumping in also. Slide 7. We are beginning the hiring process now for our summer programs, but there is still time to join our team. Lots of information can be found on the recreation pages of our website. Slide number 8. Please join us Friday night, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Old Millington Schoolhouse for our first ever photography exhibition. Ed Zindel, Olga Arganova, and Marta Sovis, local photographers, will exhibit their art with a focus on local wildlife. This is a free event. While we will host a free reception and meet and greet with the photographers on Friday night, additional hours where this will be open to the public to stop by will be posted on our website. Parking is available on either side of the building located at 1802 Long Hill Road in Millington, and also on the street in front of the building. Slide number 9. Please join us for a paper collage art workshop with local artist Danielle Oriema D'Amico, Monday, May 8th. Pre-register on Community Pass. The fee is $60. Slide number 10 and slide number 11. Registration is now open for our summer camps. Registration by May 31st. More information is available on our website. Now to slide number 12. Registration is open on Community Pass for Sterling Lake membership. Early bird pricing ends on May 31st. And on our final slide, slide number 13, mark your calendars for our annual Memorial Day Parade and ceremony scheduled for Monday, May 29th at 9:30 a.m. Also, please mark your calendars for our Spring Lake Dance at Sterling Lake for Long Hill residents in grades 5 through 7, Friday, June 2nd. More information will be posted on the website soon. Thank you very much. That concludes our recreation.
Mr. Mayor, if you can indulge me. So I want to have a shout out for Larry Bazinski, who you did mention in passing there. For the residents that don't know, Larry donated the sound system that you hear at concerts and on Saturday or at the East Egg Hunt. So it's a great benefit to the town. And a shout out to Hudson Catholic in Jersey City, Larry Bazinski, and I are proud graduates of Hudson Catholic. Larry's significantly older than I am, but so I just wanted to make that shout out to Hudson Catholic in Jersey City.
Okay.
All right, that was the rec update. I also have an update for beautification. All right, we've got our rain barrels. You can order them on our website. There will be a sample barrel to take a look at the upcoming street fair. On Main Avenue, you should notice that there are flower pots on Main Avenue, on Main Street. We are also waiting on some hanging pots to go around the lamp posts. They are not in yet, but we plan to have them really soon. And as far as we are also waiting on, we've mentioned it before, the wraps for the electrical boxes. Gravity Works Design, which is the same company that did the library drop boxes, is working on the dimensions and imagery, and we are waiting for the quote at their quote at this time. So they came, they took a look at it. We're waiting on a quote, and then they're presenting us with some pictures. We have some pictures, so we're in the process. It's moving along, and that concludes beautification.
What kind of pictures on them?
There's some wildlife pictures that were taken, contest pictures here in town. There's some local artists that have submitted some paintings and pictures in the past that we're contemplating. There's stock photos that the company that's giving us an estimate provides. So, there's
Township committee photographs?
some patriotic photographs. We're always open to suggestions and input from the public.
Great, thank you. Anything else?
And that would be it.
Brendan?
Nothing from me.
Okay. Matt?
Yes. All right, the DPW report. The mulching at Cantor Park and Town Hall is all complete. The new street sweeper's out on the road. I noticed, Al, you got the flatbed. When did you guys get that? Just recently, right? With the roll-off? So they have a new roll-off flatbed where they can use for the dumpster to help greatly around town. The mulch deliveries are Mondays and Fridays. They're running low on mulch already, so if you want it, you better call now and get your order in early. 908-647-0070. They're doing all the lawn maintenance on township properties. They've been repairing the catch basins, as usual. Don't forget to check out their Facebook page, Long Hill DPW. Obviously, they have a lot of good, important announcements about different programs and other things that are going on with respect to garbage, recycling, and other activities they're doing. The fire department report, they've had 43 calls to date. Don't forget, at the street fair in 2 weeks, for Sterling Fire is selling sausage and peppers, so please support. If you're going there to buy food, buy it from them. The money goes to a good cause, and they're probably excellent sandwiches. And they also had was it Tuesday morning, they had a fire at Speedy Mart, a car parked in the parking lot, and the guy went in to get coffee, and he came out, his car was on fire. So luckily, our first responders got there in a very quick amount of time. The car went up in flames. They managed to suppress the fire. Nobody got hurt, and more importantly, the fire didn't jump to the building. So they stopped it real quick. The fire was hot enough it blew out 3 of the 4 tires on the car. So, as I said, great job, everybody that showed up, police, fire, EMS, and great job stopping it. Nobody got hurt. From the police report, Lieutenant Chambrillo wanted everybody to know that, hang on one second. Well, first we have the fishing derby on Saturday, the PBA fishing derby, 8 to 1 o'clock at Sterling Lake. The PBA is still selling autism awareness patches through the end of April. And I was there last year with Guy, actually. 50% of the proceeds go to the Uncommon Thread, which supports a school. It's a school in town on Elm Street that helps kids with autism and special needs. And I was there last year when the officers presented the owner, Greg Carr, with the check, and he's very appreciative of it. So please help support the PBA and the Uncommon Thread School. And Alexis wanted us to know that the PD has Operation Good Morning program for Long Hill residents. It's a free program. It's open to anyone over 55 or older that live alone or they're alone for extended periods of time on a regular basis, or people that have medical conditions that could lead to incapacitation, who live alone, who are alone for extended periods of time on a regular basis. So basically, if you're over 55 or you have a disability or medical condition where you're alone at home a lot, they have a program where that you call into the police department by 10 a.m. every day. And if nobody hears from you, then the police department or somebody will initiate a phone call, and if they don't hear from you, they will go to your house and knock and check up on you to make sure you're okay. So even if it's not for you, if you have a relative in town that could benefit from this program, please contact the police department. Officers, the officers, you can probably ask them to see one on the street. They're very approachable. So this is a great program. I know they were doing it, and it helps people at least feel secure. And if they are a little nervous about being alone, this helps them feel a little more safe and secure in their own environment. So that's what's going on from the police, the fire, and the DPW.
Thank you. Guy, anything?
So, Mr. Mayor, I apologize, I don't have this tonight. I will invite again the K-8 superintendent and the BA, see if they want to come in here. If they don't, and I could appreciate if it doesn't fit their schedule, I'll see if I can get a template done similar to what the high school presented this
That'd be
evening.
great,
So
yeah.
that way we'll just have, you know, a simple report that I can relay at the next meeting.
Okay. Anything for first aid?
Well, first aid, just to say thank you. They've been incredibly busy. It seems they get busier and busier, which is why the ordinance we passed earlier this evening, I think, was critical. People don't, well, I think most people do, but maybe they don't. The first aid squad here in Long Hill Township, much like our fire companies, are 100% volunteer. And any additional building in town might put a strain on them. So just a big shout out to Carly and Bob and Rob, and I'll forget, I won't mention everybody's name. Lisa. When in doubt, just add Lisa's name, because almost certainly she's volunteering for that organization. So big shout out, thank you.
All right, thanks. Okay, Randy, Administrator's Report.
Just have two things, Mayor. Main Avenue, the job is completed. The engineer is working on closeout papers. We do have a discussion on later about some things on there. We have placed, if you will, put in the request for the lights for the electric meter. It's in JCP&L's hands, and it has been for, in my opinion, too long. I'm going to try and follow up tomorrow, Friday, to get the person who's responsible for these meters and see if we can get it moving a little quicker. And thank you, Deputy Mayor. You asked me on my first day as administrator to give an update on assessments and the, if you will, the annual reassessment program. So I'm gonna be brief with it. There is a lot of misconceptions with the annual assessment program. One of the two things that are foremost, one is that we have to ask permission from the County Board of Taxation to do an annual reassessment, and they have to approve it. There are circumstances where they may not approve it, or if our assessments and ratios are too out of whack with at near the 100%, they may reject it and ask us to do more inspections. Just recently, I believe 2 years ago, they changed the rules. The state has changed the rules, Division of Taxation, in where we used to have to inspect 25% of the houses each year. Now it's, they did it over a 5-year period, so it's 20% of the houses that we have to inspect each year. We hire a company to go out and do the inspections, and what we do behind the scenes is break the town up into neighborhoods. Not the neighborhoods that you're thinking about, but neighborhoods consisting of similar like properties. So the neighborhoods could be similar all over town and be, the number 5 area, so that the assessor and the inspection company could get sales of those similar type properties and have comparisons with the assessments. Each year, every house is reviewed and reassessed. May go down, it may stay the same, it may go up. Another misconception, do not confuse Governor Christie's 2% tax law with assessments. Two separate issues. The taxes are the amount of taxes that is raised in accordance with the municipal budget. Assessments are different. So assessments, the goal is to get every house at 100%. That's the goal. Theoretically, in a reassessment year, if there's no tax increase, 1/3 of the properties will see a tax decrease, 1/3 will stay the same, and 1/3 will increase. That's the way of the laws of averages. So the 2% does not apply to assessments. We get that question all the time. And you do have a right to talk to the assessor when you get your notice or postcard about your assessment and ask some questions. If you don't agree with the new assessment and you have proof that the assessment could be wrong by recent sales, and what I mean by recent sales, it's October 1st of the pre-tax year and 18 months prior to that. So we're not using assessments in December or January of 2023 to come up with the assessment of 2023. That'll be looked at next year because they have to have the assessments done and ready to go come January of each year. So, and you always have the option of doing a tax appeal at the Morris County Board of Taxation. There's applications online that explains the process, and I would suggest that you do your homework because you, as a resident, would have to come to the County Board of Taxation and with proof of sales, with proof of similar houses, and prove the assessment wrong. So I think if any of you have any questions that you might have with it, but I think that's the gist of reassessment. I could go into a whole lot more detail, but I don't want to confuse people more than an annual reassessment is. But a lot of people are not understanding. I want to emphasize, a reassessment does not cause tax increases, okay? The taxes are figured out by the budget process. An annual reassessment is just about sales and what the value of homes are in a current year.
Thank you. Okay, anything else?
Thank you, Randy.
No problem.
Thank you.
All right, so moving forward, discussion items. First up is White Bridge Road tree replacement. Randy, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, the committee may remember the White Bridge Road. The county's doing a project there where the DEP is requiring them to plant trees elsewhere because they can't be planted in that location. They have the county contacted us and asked if we had a location that we would like trees planted, and pardon me, I don't remember the exact number of trees, but I believe.
Al, were you involved in that?
I believe it was substantial. I mean, by the design, it almost looks like 50 to 75 trees. So they were looking at the Everly property, and you have a design attached to a proposed design attached to your information here. Basically, the county wants to come and put them in just in rows. We're not too keen on the idea. We asked them if they could go back and say, maybe do form a little walkway, if you will, down to the river, planting trees on each side. But they are pretty insistent on doing these rows of trees to get them in, and they don't want the deer to be eating them. I'm not sure planting them in rows or planting them in 2 rows. I don't know what the difference is. Maybe the deer don't like to go past trees to eat the middle trees. I don't know.
What type of trees?
You know what? That I don't have.
I'm under the impression they're like flowering, like a nice tree, or not like an ornamental.
The email that I have does not say, but let me take a look at the design.
When do we need to make a decision on this by?
They want to move along with it because they want to send us an agreement to look at and sign. They're drafting it now. They want to get it done sooner than later so that they could close out their project with DEP.
Now, for the Everly property, I personally surveyed that property. I think it's tough for us to plant anything there at this time because we really don't know what we're doing with it. How about where we planted the dogwoods over at Cantor here.
Well-
What about, they all died. What about if we considered, if these are flowering trees, what if we considered some of them for those spots?
Your point is, and I apologize, I wasn't
Mike.
aware of this offer from the county. I would suggest we put them in touch with the Shade Tree Commission.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what types of property it has to be on. Does it have to be county-owned? Can it be municipal-owned? So I agree. I would like to do something here at Cantor. Maybe that's not allowed because the town owns it. Can it be on personal or private property?
They're looking at municipal held property.
That's right, because the Everly property, that's a very
I
good
think
point.
that if they're ornamental trees, we could make a heck of a use of them. I think maybe Al would agree, maybe here at City
So-
Hall, Cantor Park.
Could you ask them for the proposal? You said they're going to send it, and I would suggest for our benefit to let the Shade Tree Commission review it.
You know, while we're talking about trees, I didn't realize there were so many trees that were, you know, potentially up for planting. But I always feel bad that a number of years ago in Heritage, a number of trees had to be taken down, and so I'm wondering if that would be another spot that we would like to plant
another
them
one.
there.
Sure.
I can feel, I don't even have my glasses on, but I can feel Al's pain. They would have to be planted on the private properties there because we wouldn't want the same issue that happened to those trees where they overhung or whatever that's called, the street.
But would that be, could we do something, could it be a different type
I-
of tree, or, you know?
Fair enough. I
how-
don't know
Yeah.
hence why I think the Shade Tree Commission might be, they're the experts on this.
But yeah, if that is the case, I would like them to consider that anyway.
I also believe that this plan has to be approved by the DEP.
Correct.
So I don't know if they're gonna say, we'll do here, there,
The
everywhere.
DEP is extremely easy to work with
So I've heard.
And communicate with.
and a great communicator as well.
But what I will do, I'll reach out to the consulting engineer and tomorrow and get some more information, get some more detailed information on what they're looking for. I do not believe that they will want to have anything to do with private property. They want to have one agreement and be done. So it would be on, you know,
It'd be on
on
municipal.
municipal.
Yeah.
And that, I'm sure they would prefer it as on one property so that they don't have to go all around town.
Right.
And save time and money, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, but let me reach out to them, get a little more information on this, because I wasn't really involved that much with this. So let me get more information on this.
Please keep us posted, because there's definitely some spots here at Cantor that could use, if they're ornamental, we could really create a nice look.
Yep.
Okay, very good. All right, next up for discussion, Main Avenue benches. Someone want to start this one?
Aren't we just turning them all around to face the street? That's what I thought was gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, that would be my preference. I've looked at
Isn't
them.
that what we're doing now?
Is that, I mean,
I believe that's what we're supposed to just turn them around and have them all face the street.
right, okay.
How many are facing in now?
We have
Towards
five.
the end of the road.
We have
maybe
5
6.
of them facing in. One faces a commercial building, one faces, is in front of a house. The others are kind of a open grassy area. But there are 5 of them that face away from the street.
You know, everyone's put more thought into this than I have, and I'm late to the game. And I get the days of the Memorial Day Parade or the street fair, people sit and they can look out onto the street, but for the other 363 days a year, there's nothing going up and down that street other than cars.
So we're looking at people's windows or at their houses.
Yeah, the
But
problem
I'm
with the
saying
way,
if I'm sitting there with, my young children, I don't understand the point of the bench facing the street.
I agree, but when you take a look at them at how they're facing into residential windows right now.
All right,
It's a bit awkward. Like, on paper, it seemed like a good idea until you saw it in person, and then you saw the trajectory of where the benches are and what they're facing. I believe it was a good idea in spirit, but we should probably turn them around.
to face the street.
to face the street.
that's fair.
Watching
You know
the
what?
cars is all we have right now.
And not for nothing, is just, screws into concrete or something. If we find out that that doesn't work, it can always be changed.
Yes.
It's not permanent.
So it's 5 benches to flip around. Al, is that something you're doing?
It will be on Public Works. Sorry, Al. Or we hire somebody different. The contractor did put them in where they were supposed to put them in. So,
Yes.
That's great. You ask Al a question and Randy answered for him. It's very convenient.
Okay. All right, special event permits. So that's the next topic. What do we have on that?
I could discuss this if you
Go
wish,
ahead.
Mayor. Yes, at the last meeting, we discussed amending the special event ordinance with several goals. One was to clarify the definition of a special event. The second was to limit that definition to, in Mr. Sandow's words, to things that affect traffic and require police presence. And the third was to remove the requirement that each individual concessionaire obtain a license, which we apparently weren't doing in practice anyway, but it was in the ordinance. So in furtherance of that discussion, I looked at a number of ordinances from other towns, and I discovered that a number of towns don't have an ordinance, probably most towns. A lot of towns have terrible ordinances, and the best one I found was actually Berners Township, but it was a lot more complicated than I think we're trying to enact here. So what I did was, the first thing is the definition of special event, and I'm open to any suggestions, and I know that Megan may have some issues with some of this, and this is why I asked it to be on for discussion only tonight. So with respect to special event, I put shall mean and include a street fair, television or movie, filming, bicycle race, car show, carnival or circus, concert, fair, farmer's market, festival, fireworks display, flea market, foot race, marathon or run, parade or walkathon or similar event, which A, is open to the public, or is a private event with more than and I didn't have a number, anticipated attendees, and C, will generate a parking or traffic flow situation that could interfere with the movement of normal vehicular or pedestrian traffic or emergency vehicles, or requires the closure of a public street or streets, or D, requires the expenditure, of municipal resources by DPW, the police department, or the fire department, and E, is proposed to take place at a municipal park or facility, whether the event is open to the general public or not, if the anticipated number of attendees exceeds, and that number would have to be arrived at, persons. I also put special events shall be permitted at municipal facilities and parks only with the prior approval of the Township Committee, and any event sponsored by the Township Committee shall not be considered a special event. Then later, as I say, I removed the requirement that each individual concessionaire obtain a license or permit, and just required that they submit, the sponsor submit the names and addresses of all concessionaires to the clerk, just so we're aware of who they are. With respect to insurance, I required that actually, I didn't make any real changes there. The sponsor's still going to have to provide insurance, which will cover the concessionaires, and name the township as an additional insured. I left in there the police coverage at special events, because several years ago, the Township Committee required said nonprofits don't have to pay for police coverage at special events, and went into great detail about that. Now, the Township Committeeman Ray suggested, rather than saying granted 501c3 or 501c6, just that it be a nonprofit entity, which would leave the decision up to the Township Committee. So those are my suggested changes. Oh, one other thing is just whether that application for a special event has to be approved by the Township Committee, or the clerk can do it if it meets these requirements. So those are my suggested changes, and as I say, I left some things open for discussion by the Township Committee, and I'm certainly open to any changes anyone wants to make.
Oh, can we add on that first page under D where you said fire department, could add EMS?
Sure.
Which is rescue squad or any
Yep.
EMS for that matter.
Yep.
So you had certain metrics in there that were open. Can you review those again?
Yeah, and some of these are or and some of them are and. A is open to the general public, or as a private event with more than so many anticipated attendees, and I'm not sure what that number should be, and will generate a parking or traffic flow situation that could interfere with the movement of normal vehicular or pedestrian traffic or emergency vehicles, or requires the closure of a public street or streets. And that was really Mr. Sandow's suggestion at our last meeting. Or D, requires the expenditure of municipal resources by the DPW, police department, fire department, or first aid squad. And last is proposed to take place at a municipal park or facility, whether the event is open to the general public or not, if the anticipated number of attendees, again, exceeds so many persons. And I guess we should qualify that too with the traffic problem, but that's up to you all. And then, yeah, those are the metrics for special events in general. Here.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at it. I'm struggling with coming up with a number of anticipated attendees for a private event.
I mean, maybe the police would be best qualified to give us
I mean,
and we can take that out. I mean, you can.
yeah, I mean, A and B are very nebulous,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, because A and B are really determining factors that come up with C if it's going to generate parking traffic flow or some interference of movement, right?
Yep, I agree.
Right, because C requires the expenditure,
Right.
right? And E is location specific, so that makes sense. Yeah, I have a problem with A and B. Maybe we can kind of tune that up a little bit.
Maybe just
Or we
delete
could take them out.
Take them out and just make it
Yeah.
to start with C.
Yeah,
That would make more sense.
I mean, do you agree?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So then we give the examples in the initial definition and go on to say if it will generate parking or traffic flow issues.
And then, Jack, the only thing, I mean, this is in the ordinance at the moment, and maybe Megan can comment on it, the 60 days notification to the township clerk.
Yeah, that seems.
That seems a lot, and it doesn't
It does.
usually happen, right? So
Right.
maybe we want
Never
to
happens,
cut that
probably.
down.
It never happens.
Yeah.
It never
What-
happens.
What's a fair number for you, Megan, to be able to, that's in, as Brendan said, it's in the current ordinance.
I mean, I
Like,
think 30 days is
I was
probably
gonna say
better.
30 days.
Because we need to get in front of the township committee.
Yeah, I would keep it so it goes in front of the township committee for their approval.
Yep.
My only concern is the one special event permits that we're having right now. I feel like they don't fall into these special event permits, so they would not be getting approved. It's the food truck that's in the parking lot once a week.
Yeah, well, it's not really, I'm sorry, let me get my mic back. The food truck would really not be a special event.
So then they wouldn't be allowed to do that, and they'd have to go in front of zoning.
Right.
Okay.
Or I guess they could come before the township committee for a special, occasion, but they're not really a special event.
Okay. So block parties for this would be kind of considered in this right now, right? It's a private event on a street and it's interrupting traffic flow?
Well, I agree. We may not want to require block parties neighborhood block parties to get a permit.
Because I know we have about like 4 or 5 of those a year.
Yeah, sometimes we have 4 or 5 on an agenda.
Yeah.
So you're saying, Jack, we wouldn't want them to get?
Yeah, I mean, they come before the township committee and get permission.
Yeah.
But it does seem onerous to require a neighborhood on a cul-de-sac,
They file a block party registration now when it comes in front of
Right.
the township
That-
committee.
exactly.
But I'm
Okay.
just trying to differentiate,
No,
a special event, if they're falling under both applications now.
Maybe we could qualify the closure of a public street with through traffic or something along those lines. So it's not just a,
But correct me if I'm wrong, some of the block parties do close down streets
oh, they do, yeah.
Yeah.
Through streets
Yeah.
too.
through
Yeah.
streets.
Yep.
So. Yeah.
Any suggestions how we,
I mean, maybe we include block parties in this?
yeah, because it's a lot simpler now. And
Yeah,
since they
as
have to come anyway,
Yeah.
they're doing it
The
anyway.
only question is maybe neighborhood block parties would be exempt from the insurance requirements. they don't-
That's
they-
more of a legal question.
Do they provide insurance now?
Block parties, they do
No,
not.
they don't. So,
Right.
you know, as I say, it seems onerous to require a neighborhood to,
Yeah, yeah.
but again, that's not my call.
I mean, they haven't been, we haven't mandated it up until now, right? So,
Right. And we do have a lot every year.
or could you just
Maybe
make
under
make
insurance and
exception?
indemnity, just say, except
Or do you want to,
neighborhood block parties.
or do you want, since they already have a block party permit, do you want to just exempt them from this specifically? Just say, with the exception of,
I don't think we have an
Neighborhood.
ordinance for block parties, though.
We do.
Do we?
yeah.
Let me look.
I don't think we do.
No, I don't think we do either. Oh, I thought you said we did, that's why
I thought we did.
I don't think we do.
So maybe what we do is a little bit more research on the block party aspect of this. I think we made a little bit of progress in terms of tightening
Yeah.
up the boundaries on this.
Right.
But why don't we leave it for discussion at the next meeting?
I'll come
see-
back.
See what progress we made on it.
I'll come back with a refined draft.
Also, I was looking at the other thing, the exempt things, the Sterling American Legion, that doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
And I think
I
the,
didn't really hear.
yeah,
what
no, I
that
think
was.
Force, I think they're called Long Hill Education Foundation. I think that's what they're called now. I could be wrong. But it could be one or the other. I'm checking into that now.
Okay, all right, so we ready to
Yep,
keep moving?
so I will have it ready for the next meeting for further discussion.
Thanks. All right, so next, old and new business. Linda LaRue is resigning from the Shade Tree Commission as alt number 2. Can I have a motion to accept Linda's resignation?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have a mayoral appointment, Shade Tree Commission, alt number 2. We're happy to announce that Karen Torpy will be taking that role. Her term will expire on December 31st, 2025. Next, Township Committee appointment for Board of Adjustment, alt number 2, Anthony Opalka, for a term expiring December 31st this year, 2023. Can I have a motion to appoint Anthony Opalka to the Board of Adjustment for the unexpired term?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next, announcements.
No, excuse me, Mr. Mayor, I
No?
think, Jack, you were going to discuss the Knoll and the speed limit, or are we gonna do that separately?
We'll do that. I think we need to talk to the police department. but-
Okay.
But I don't think we need to discuss it in public this
Fair
evening.
enough.
Okay. All right, announcements. Long Hill Township Friends of the Library, they're going to have a Shred It Day on April 22nd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Matt, I believe you talked about this already, PBA Fishing Derby,
Right.
April 15th, 8 to 1 p.m. And lastly, the Sterling Street Fair, Sunday, April 23rd. I believe that goes from 10 to 5, correct? Right. At this point, I think we're ready to open the meeting to the public. Remarks and statements pertaining to any matter, please limit them to 3 minutes. We'll open to the public now.
Good evening, Frank Liberato, Heritage Road. First thing was I wanted to congratulate Randy on new position, and I wish him luck, and look forward to good things going forward. My couple of questions I had, Mr. Pigeon, just to pick up on that large discussion regarding the pilot, I just had a question, and maybe it's in the documents, I didn't see it. If they don't hit the threshold of the projection based on what the projected revenue would be for the town, tax-wise on part of the pilot, are there checks and balances in there as far as if they don't hold up their end, or if the projections are way higher than what they actually end up doing? Like if the business doesn't do what they project, as far as revenue.
Well, they're still liable, and if they don't live up to their side of the bargain, then they would be assessed under the general.
So there is a fallback plan. In other words, if that, for
Correct.
whatever reason, at year 10 or year 11, there's a problem, there's other mechanisms in place that...
That's correct. As I say, it would revert to the ordinary tax procedures.
Okay. And then I saw in the resolutions tonight about an application for a stormwater grant, Mayor. Is that, do you have an idea of what they're applying for as far as the size of the grant and what it might be used for, like, infrastructure replacement or flood mitigation type stuff, or is there like a goal in mind what you guys are going after?
Randy, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, the grant is up to $25,000, probably beat $25,000, and it's for mapping of all the inlets and storm drains.
Oh, okay, so it basically give you a mapping system of, and will the 25,000, you think, get a good portion of the town?
We'll cover it all.
Oh, wow, that's good. And then the last question I had was, I saw in the executive session, I know that there's things you can't talk about, but just want to see if there's maybe any update on the HR contract negotiations. Is that something that's moving forward, like making progress, or kind of in the same?
Yeah,
Ron?
we had a real good discussion. We're looking at proposals. I'm pleased that the proposals we see right now are very specific in scope. And, I think we all came away from the discussion with a lot to think about. It's a lot more focused than what our discussions have been in the past. So I'm feeling confident that, we're heading towards something actionable.
Very good. That's it. Thank you very
Frank.
much.
Thank you.
And Frank,
Yes, sir.
I heard you volunteered for the fire company as a driver,
Yes.
and I just wanted to congratulate you and thank you for volunteering.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
It's a great example. We need more of that in town. So, just didn't want to let that go unnoticed, so thanks.
No, I appreciate that, and I'm looking forward to, already started training, working with the guys already, so looking forward to giving back.
All right, very good.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
See ya.
Charles Arenowitz, Millington, Heritage Road. Two things. Based on, well, more than two things, but a couple of documents here. Township Committee Liaisons, ordinance number 16-96. There are 18 departments and committees listed here. Some of them are like civil defense and disaster controls. That brings back the 60s and the Cold War. What's missing are beautification committee, community services, emergency management, open space, and so forth. I think we need to take a look at this ordinance and update to the appropriate names and the appropriate committees. Again, that's ordinance number 16-96.
16-96.
Yes. Township Committee Liaisons. That's
All
the
right, so
title.
that's update the liaisons.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Second thing, Brendan's comment on Resolution 23-106. I come from an environment that it was a bell-shaped curve for people's performance and what they could do and got people to achieve. I didn't come from an environment where everybody gets an ice cream. I wish you would have deferred until we got the budget and then looked at how people people are rated in their performance and base their compensation on performance. That does a couple things. One, it incites people to strive for better performance. You get better response. And I was in the Marine Corps, and everybody didn't get an ice cream, and you didn't get the next grade unless you earned it. So if there's any way you can go back and look, and I mean, I'm all for awarding performance and high performance, but straight across, I have a very, very difficult time accepting that. Start with the questions. Following the last meeting, you directed me to the police command for the badge retirement process. I did that the morning after the meeting. 3 days later, I get an email from Mr. Pigeon saying, I've had discussions with the Township Committee, and they're not going to respond to your question. It's personnel. I then opened the police officer retirement process. And then I got a response. There are no procedures or policy for retiring police officers. You know, we had questions like this. Chief Naga sat over there in the armchair and answered the questions. The new command, since it's been appointed, hasn't been here to answer any of our questions. I would encourage them to come to answer our questions. So the question before you tonight is, after last meeting and all my emails and what I had to do, who decides this unwritten process for retiring police officers?
Matt, do you want to handle that?
It was all part of, if you're referring to a former individual, it's all part of.
No, I'm not. The process.
As far as I know, it's a PBA or the police function. We don't have, I've never dealt with it before, and I don't see what the big deal is. I guess you've been retained as a pro se attorney for a certain individual to keep bringing this topic up over and over again.
No, it's not. No, I'm not. Then, following up on that, Mr. Dorsey, as I began to investigate this, certain former township committee members have a retired police badge. What is the process for retired police officer badges awarded to township committee members?
I don't know anything about that.
I won't name the township committee members in public because it's not fair, but if you're willing to discuss that with me, I will do that in private.
To the best of my knowledge, they were never issued by the Township Committee.
I don't know anything about that.
Okay. Do township committee members serving as police department liaisons get a police badge?
I do not have a police badge, and I have not had one since I resigned from the prosecutor's office.
Has anyone that served as a police liaison in this township in front of me have gotten a police badge?
I had one whenever it was given to me by Chief Mazio, and I returned it whenever I didn't fill the position anymore.
Okay.
And I had one too.
So, but you have it, or you're no longer the liaison?
I'm not the lead, actually, I am back to current co-liaison.
Oh, I didn't know that. So it's you and Matt are the police liaisons?
Correct.
So you have a badge? Matt doesn't?
I can't find mine. I was given an old one like 2 years ago, and I just
Can't find it?
unable to find it.
I never
Okay.
got one.
I don't have one, nor do I want one, so.
Okay.
Or did I want one?
All right. So there are retired police badges in this town to township committee members, just so you know that. Question 4. Since the March 22nd meeting, and the people who are listening have contacted me, and want to contribute to retirement badge for Chief Naga. How do I proceed under the guidelines that you give me to obtain a retirement badge for this 20-year veteran of the Long Hill Township Police Department?
Matt, you want to answer?
I don't even know if that's legal. There's probably Attorney General guidelines on who can carry a badge around. And I would have to check, you'd have to check with the Attorney General's office. You can do whatever you want as a private citizen, but you should probably check with the prosecutor's office and/or the Attorney General's office. We're not issuing a badge.
But
We also have a settlement agreement with Chief Naga that was, that was all encompassing.
I read that agreement. There's nothing about a police badge in that
Exactly.
agreement.
I agree.
Exactly.
That's my point.
So what does that mean?
That there's
That
no
means
police
The
badge.
police badge was not part of the settlement, which was all encompassing for his retirement from the police department.
So if there's nothing there, you take it to mean he doesn't get one. Is that right?
Correct.
Well, I don't think residents or citizens can award him a retirement badge.
This is in Wild West City. You can't just deputize something.
No, I asked for guidance from the committee based on these people that want to give him a badge. How do I do that? And you're telling me it's not in the settlement agreement, so we can't do it. Is that correct?
You could do whatever you want as a private
No,
citizen.
I don't want to. I want to do it within the procedure of this town.
We're not
The township
backing
committee
this.
has never, to the best of my knowledge, issued a retirement badge.
No, we're not getting part of
Maybe
this.
within the police department they have, but the township committee's never done it, to the best of my knowledge.
But we still issue, someone in this town, whoever does it, PBA, police, someone gets a retirement badge. McCarskey just retired and we gave him a badge in the ceremony, so it does happen, I think.
It may, but it doesn't come from the township committee.
Okay. Two of you, township committee members, decided to talk openly to the echoes regarding matters that should be discussed in this forum. Not all residents in this town have a subscription, nor can they afford a subscription to the echoes. And I think it's unfair to the people that don't have a subscription to not be informed of the matters that the two of you discussed. So my question for you is, if you want to be fair, let's give a subscription to everyone in the town to the echoes, or you stop disseminating information privately to the echoes that we don't get. I asked the question here on the 22nd. It was not properly responded to, Mr. Mayor, all due process if you watched the video. But I read the article this morning, and lo and behold, I got an answer to my question that I asked that you answered Nicole with. That is not fair and transparent and open communication to the taxpayers and the residents of this town, especially with the price of what that subscription is.
Why do you need a, look, I'm confused. I go down in front of the Millington Post Office, I can buy a copy of the newspaper, is that true?
I think so.
Yeah, stores.
Yeah.
So not everybody has a subscription and buys the paper. So what I'm saying to you is, let's have the open discussion in this forum.
Chuck, when the news, I guess I'm just confused. I mean, the way I grew up, public announcements happened in the newspaper, right? The newspaper's available in those little machines in front of the post office, right? It's the paper we have. They
Yeah,
call
but-
us up, they ask us questions.
Well, I ask questions and I don't get answers, so then you give it to the paper. That's the big,
All right, I understand your frustration.
so how do we correct it?
Well, we're talking right now. You want me to not answer her when she calls me?
You say, I'd prefer you come to the meeting and ask that question and I'll answer it for you.
Okay.
She's not here. I'm here, and I don't get it answered, and I don't think it's fair. Thanks for all your support and help with everything I've asked for tonight.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the courtroom would like to come up and make a comment? Seeing none? Okay, Megan, anybody online?
Dennis Sandow has his hand raised.
Sure.
Good evening. A minor correction for the municipal clerk. And
Hold
that
on one
is-
second, Dennis. We're going to turn up the volume because you're very faint. How's that, Dennis?
Well, I can hear you just fine. Can you-
I
can hear you
mu-
now.
Yeah, we hear you much better. Thank you.
I just wanted to offer a minor correction to the municipal clerk that not all special event permits come in late.
I never, no, that wasn't the question, Dennis.
But just as a reminder of Scott's last remark before the open session, we are going to have a street fair. It will be on Sunday, the 23rd, a week and a half from now, and
The weather will be beautiful.
the weather will be beautiful. And we're practicing for that tomorrow when the temperature is going to go into the 80s. But I hope to see you all there. I hope to see the public there. The municipal government has agreed to come out in force. I expect the Board of Education will be there with some sort of show and tell. And it will be a great opportunity for the public to meet the officials that they pay taxes for. And I look forward to seeing you all on the 23rd between 10 and 5. If you're going to church on Sunday morning, be aware that there will be detours, and you're going to have to allow a few extra minutes to get up to the church parking lot. But when church is over, stop and see us. Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you.
Thanks for all the work that you do on that. It's very greatly appreciated by the town and by us. Anybody else on Zoom?
There's a Kathy O'Leary that would like to speak.
Sure.
Hold on.
We're good now?
Yes, we can hear you. Just speak a little louder.
Okay. Just to add a little bit to what Chuck was saying about what was discussed in the paper. There was a significant discussion about open space that I don't think was discussed here. It was not shared in a liaison report. And people who don't have a subscription to the newspaper don't know that they need to walk down to the machine and get the paper about to learn about this particular issue. When I was a kid, the newspaper was like $20 for the year. The newspaper is now over $100 a year. And actually, to be honest, it's more expensive than my subscription to the New York Times. So it's not a small amount of money. Now, in terms of what was discussed in the paper with regard to open space, I found it very interesting that we were discussing the list that was supposedly needed to be compiled of open space properties, although it's been discussed here before that we have a recreation open space inventory that is maintained by the town and sent to the DEP, and you can actually search the DEP's website for the list of properties, even although it should be on file. We also have an element for the master plan, which Mr. Veleza should know all about, as he's on the planning board, for the open space and recreation element, which had quite a bit of public input into what the plan is for all of those properties. So it concerns me greatly that we're now talking about coming up with a plan when we already have a plan. Further, there is the Upper Passaic River Riparian Conservation Project that was written in cooperation between the Passaic River Coalition and the Long Hill Township Environmental Commission, which lists not just the properties that are preserved and owned by the town, but all the other properties that are owned by all the other entities in town, in addition, it has a list of properties that it suggests, with block and lot numbers, it suggests the township should consider acquiring. Now, if the members of the township committee do not have these documents, I'd be happy to share them with you. But it does concern me that we're having these conversations, and it does not seem to be A, that we have all this information, and B, that we're considering public input. Last night, I was invited to a meeting in Newark that was put on by the Ironbound Community Corp and the Friends of Riverfront Park. Now, Newark is a city of 300,000 people. They're considering a renovation of that park. They came up with a plan and sent it to the Friends of Riverbank Park and the Ironbound Community Corp and asked them for their input. There was a meeting of at least 40 people last night going through the plans, making drawings, creating lists. And again, I want to emphasize, this is a city of 300,000 people. We are a town of 9,000. And yet we keep having these conversations and discussions about public property without input from the public. We have a master plan that is coming due very shortly, and the elements have not been released to the public for their public input. So there's an awful lot of problems here with transparency and with public input. And I do want to commend, though, Committeeman Pasercia for saying that we should refer this issue of the trees back to the board that's supposed to handle the trees, which is the Shade Tree Commission. It is very disturbing to hear that all the dogwoods in Canner Park have died, though not surprising considering that we had such a terrible drought this past summer. Any tree that's planted needs to be watered, and I don't know why that wasn't part of the plan when we cut down all of the native trees that were providing a sound break and a light break from the lights from the field, and providing habitat for the birds that people do go to Canner Park to go birding. So again, it really is disturbing, the lack of communication and the lack of input from the community that's happening, and the lack of knowledge, it seems, of the work that's been done by the community for many years now. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you.
Could you do me a favor? Can you send me that information on the Upper Passaic Riparian project?
Sure. And just so you know, I have given that to the planning board. And by the way, the planning board is still not allowing public comment, and they just canceled their last meeting.
Right.
So sharing this information, and I have shared this with them, but there's significant issues with the conservation element,
Yeah.
which I can go into it.
If you could send that to
privately.
me, I'd appreciate it. I have a specific interest in that.
Okay.
If I could get a copy of that list of properties that it suggested that we obtain, I think that would be great also. I haven't seen one.
What's the properties we own? It's called the Rossi, or Rosie, they call it, DPROSI.
The ones that we
It's
don't
recreation
own, but
open
we
space.
should obtain, I thought that's what Ms. O'Leary said. There's a roster of properties that we don't own, but we should target for ownership. Did you say something like that?
Yes, it's the Upper Passaic River
that's not
Riparian Conservation Project, and it's been provided to the
Got it, yeah.
Master
Got
Plan
it.
Committee, and it's been provided to the planning board.
Okay.
But I
Thank
will
you.
give
All right, thanks, Kathy. Very much appreciated. Megan, anybody else on Zoom?
If anybody else on Zoom would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand now. I don't see anyone there.
Okay. Well, at this point, I will close the public portion of the meeting, and can I have a motion to retire to executive?
I thought we were done.
Were we done?
Yeah, we covered everything.
Okay, all right, then,
No, we
can I
have-
have a motion?
Thought we
to-
had one more.
I thought we had something.
No.
I
No,
thought
we covered them all.
Covered it.
okay.
Did we? Cool.
Didn't we?
Yep.
I think we missed one.
I thought we missed one.
Yeah, we missed one. So, it'll be a short executive if I'm wrong.
We missed one.
Can I have a motion
Motion to
to
retire
to executive?
with no further action.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Don't forget to turn off the mics.
I'm pretty sure we covered them all.